Welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it's time once again for another episode of Rachel Reviews, so let's just hop into it. Please bear with me, I'm releasing some reviews of movies that have been in theaters for a while, but I really wanted to still put out my thoughts on the internet before they become too irrelevant, and they are still near and dear to my heart, so that's where we are. Starting, of course, with the recent Ghostbusters movie because, well, I'm a big fan of the original. Duh. Yes, there will be some spoilers, so don't get mad if you hear some things you don't want to hear, and if you haven't seen the movie yet, then click away, come back later, but here we go. Here are my thoughts on the film. So this movie, a lot like the one I'm gonna review next also, had a lot of people worried about it in anticipation of its release, and it's for a lot of different reasons. For one, it's a reboot of an insanely popular franchise. They also, of course, turned things around and had the original male roles played by women, and they even had some original female roles played by men. And the big elephant in the room, the trailer, well, first of all, didn't look that funny, but it also has the most dislikes of any trailer on YouTube. Yikes. This is a reboot, keep in mind. It's not a sequel to the original films, and it very much is its own individual film. So believe it or not, the movie actually does start off pretty promising, with a guide giving a tour of a haunted house. We get some decent humor and also some suspense from the first ghost that appears. It does start off like the first movie, but in a different setting. But then, the title comes up, and mediocre as it is, the original theme song starts playing. Yeah! And oh my god, you're getting all pumped and excited because Ray Parker Jr. is starting this thing off just like he did in the original movie. You can't wait to get this thing started! And then the theme fades way too quickly and the movie starts. Ugh, darn it! Okay, first complaint about the film. I wish that I had that theme song go on just a little while longer, just like, you know, the first verse and the first chorus, and that would be all we need. Just have some like legit credits, introduce it, set up the mood a little bit more. But no, instead it's just like, there's something strange in the neighborhood. It's like, what the hell? Why not have a legit opening credits song? Well, anyway, the story starts off with a professor, played by Kristen Wiig, who starts to believe in the paranormal again when she comes across her colleagues, played by Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon. One thing leads to another, and they come across a ghost in the aforementioned haunted house. They then start their own business of taking out ghosts, just like they did in the first film, and they totally troll us. I will give them huge credit. They totally trolled us by going into a firehouse, just like the last film, and are about to buy it, but then I guess it's too expensive for them, so instead they get a office above a Chinese restaurant. And I was like, no, I wish it had been in the firehouse. That would have been so cool. Yeah, you guys knew what you were doing. You guys totally trolled us, But after that, they meet another woman, played by Leslie Jones, who claims that she too has seen a ghost, and she leads them to it, and then she becomes the fourth Ghostbuster. And from there, they're on a mission to figure out why ghosts are suddenly appearing all over Manhattan. And it's kind of cool at first. They go to like a concert randomly and defeat some ghosts that aren't really ghosts, but more like demons or spirits or something. And Ozzy Osbourne's there. Why? Only to soon find out that this whole mastermind plot thing was actually being put together by some forgettable, thinly plotted jerk-off. And he's like trying to revive ghosts and take over the city because he was neglected as a child? That's kind of lame, guys. So yes, you might have figured out by now that this movie does have a lot of problems. So let's talk about them. First of all, the lamest part of this movie has got to be the villain. He is just way too generic, and he also is not a supernatural or anything, so I don't feel very threatened by him. I mean, if you were gonna make him be a human, I just feel like that his backstory should have been a little deeper and a bit more clever, but he was just a little too cliche for me. And also, I don't remember a goddamn thing about him. I mean, all we know about him really is that he wants to use the knowledge of Kristen Wiig's book to like revive the dead for revenge on Manhattan for his pitiful past? Don't know, don't care, moving on. Something else you'll notice about this film when watching it is that it does have a lot of kind of weird pacing issues. You kind of get the feeling that there was a lot of stuff cut out because there's a lot of scenes that start off like there was something that came before we missed, or it sometimes also ends and it feels like there's more we should have seen. It just kind of like ends abruptly, and that happens a lot. I don't know if maybe that was a timing issue or if they thought there was some stuff that would just offend the fans and they kind of sloppily cut things out. Either way, it kind of makes the film really distracting and awkward at times. I mean, among a lot of things, the biggest one for me was at one point Kristen Wiig gives this backstory about when she was younger and why she believes in ghosts, because I guess she saw one at one point. And after that explanation, it goes absolutely nowhere. It's never mentioned again, it doesn't play into anything else throughout the story. It's like, WTF, what was the point of that? It just seems really pointless, and really, the film could have done just fine without it. That, and there was also quite a few scenes where logic is completely thrown out the window, and not in a funny or clever way. By the way, speaking of unnecessary, did anyone else think that Chris Hemsworth's character as the sometimes funny assistant was really just kind of there as eye candy for all the straight women in the audience? Now, I can't go into every single problem, but there is one more little thing that I want to mention because it absolutely drives me crazy. Why did Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy's hair turn white in the movie? You know, at the very end when they're like going through the dimensions and Kristen Wiig's trying to retrieve her friend, and then all of a sudden their hair is white and they go back and they're like, oh, your hair is white. And then they just dye it again? Why was that not explained? Too much not explained BS in this movie. Not helping, guys. Okay, there's my Cliff Notes list of the things that are wrong. So, now why don't we talk about some of the good stuff in the film? First and foremost, my personal favorite thing of the whole movie was the main actresses, as was for most viewers, I think. They were all very funny characters, and they all clearly worked to the best of their abilities with what they had. All the ladies in this movie are their own original, unique characters, and I love that about them. The filmmakers clearly didn't try to make them be exactly like any of their male counterparts, besides the fact that most of them were scientists, and also both films did have their own token black characters. But aside from that, they all had different personalities, different motivations, different kinds of names, and even different jobs and backgrounds. I know that a lot of people went into this movie probably hoping that it would be a lot like the original, but truth be told, I'm really glad it wasn't. Because if it was exactly like the original with the same characters and same setup and same background and everything, then it just would have been really boring. Like, nothing new to discover, nothing new to interpret. Also, I personally enjoyed the original Ghostbuster cameos in this film. There were even some really unexpected cameos, like Sigourney Weaver and Annie Potts. I mean, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, how cool is that? Even the statue in the beginning of the late Harold Ramis is a nice touch. And Slimer! Slimer was in this too! He had no reason to be in this movie, but you know what? He just looked like he was having a ball and he was having a great time and just causing mayhem and destruction, and that's what Slimer does. Although he really had nothing to do with the plot, you know what? Neither did the original Slimer, really. At least not as far as a character. He was just really fun to watch, and he got a girlfriend somehow. I mean, I don't know how that happens or whatever, but I didn't care because it was so cool to see him on screen and to just see him cause trouble. It is too bad that we couldn't get Rick Moranis to be in this film, but it's understandable if you know what's going on with him, so I wasn't that, you know, disappointed about it. Also, unfortunately, I feel like Bill Murray's cameo kind of overstayed his welcome in this film. The fact that he was like super against the Ghostbusters in this movie like didn't really help his character at all. I don't know if that really has anything to do with the fact that he really was kind of against there being a third Ghostbusters film being made. Was it supposed to be like a parallel of that? I don't know, but it just, I wasn't laughing. But he does die in the movie, so I guess that's kind of enjoyable. Oh, and also, you know, the new rendition of the Ghostbusters theme by Missy Elliott and Fall Out Boy? It didn't really bother me that much. Yeah, I was surprised too. I did listen to the song before I saw the movie. Naturally, I hated it, but actually when it appeared halfway through when they're in the car and they're like heading towards the club to take down some ghosts, I don't know what happened. It just kind of seemed to meld pretty well with the scene. The energy level got me pumped and it actually had a really nice beat to it. I don't know what to say. It didn't bother me. And finally, the one thing that I really do think that this film has over the original is the climax. Remember how in the original film they just like pointed their guns and they took down the villain and that was kind of it? Well, in this version, we not only get them taking down ghosts, but we get the girls also doing flips and doing kicks in the air and getting all these gadgets that we've never seen. They're using those and all the ghosts as well. I don't know how those things work, but they look damn cool using them. Oh my god, you cannot deny that was a really fun scene and that was really fun to watch and it was really, really cool to see women kick ass in this film. I'm sorry, original Ghostbusters film, but you know what? The girls in this one take down way more ghosts than you do. Strong, independent woman. So, with all of that said and all of those mixed thoughts on the film, do I think that it is a good movie? No. But here's what I can say about it. It definitely has a lot of faults and there's clearly a lot of sloppy filmmaking in this movie, but I still had a lot of fun watching it. In fact, very honestly, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I did enjoy the characters a lot, I liked the cameos, and surprisingly, there was also a lot of suspense that I got caught up in. Yeah, maybe it could have had a more fun tone where we're aware that we don't need to take it that seriously and they could have maybe played it a little less straight. And yeah, there was some unfunny jokes in the movie, but you know, there was just as much good humor as well. And I did laugh a lot when watching it. Yeah, you can complain about the effects all you want, but don't forget, there were some effects in the original film that weren't that good either. And I admit, I had gone into this movie really kind of hoping that maybe it would be like Bridesmaids meets Ghostbusters, but unfortunately it wasn't quite there. In my opinion, it is a really good homage to the original film, but it's not the best. But we are in a big age of nostalgia, and yeah, if you do really enjoy this movie or grew up with it, then in a lot of ways this is a bit of a nostalgia trip for you. And in case you're wondering, yeah, if I had to compare the two, I would say the original Ghostbusters film is probably the better film overall, but that doesn't mean that there isn't things you can't enjoy in this movie. It does have a lot to offer, and if you like these actresses, then you'll enjoy watching them in this movie. And kicking ass in that climax. Interestingly enough, you know, I don't really feel like that many people had issues with women playing Ghostbusters in this movie. And if they did, I kind of feel like that was a small minority. From what I saw, it looked more like people were upset because it didn't look that funny and it didn't look like it was going to be a very cohesive film. And no, this movie's not perfect, but I think it is a little better than some people give it credit for. And it should be noted that this movie was marketed terribly. Somehow, a lot of the elements that were in the trailer were not that funny, but then when they're in the movie, they were hilarious. How the hell does that happen? And something else I want you little angel faces to remember is that you might have fond memories of the original and you might think it's flawless and you can never recreate it and it can never be compared to anything and it's perfect in every way, but it's really not, you guys. Just remember, it too has faults and not everything about it works. It too has awkward moments, it too has special effects that are questionable. So in the end, if you think about it, these two films kind of balance each other out. Like yin and yang, like light and dark, like men and women. See what I did there? So that's my review of the new Ghostbusters film, and of course this week my question, as always, is what did you guys think of the film? Go ahead and leave your comments below. Be sure to like and share, and if you like what you saw here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, please be sure to keep checking back for more Adorkable videos coming out real soon. Bye, Adorkabuddies! Bye! Also, is Ecto Cooler any good? I never really got the chance to try it.